Tonight, we are thrilled to welcome a true Hollywood icon to the Cynthia Manion Show. But first, I want to do a shout out to Ken Walls. It's the Ken and Glenn show where I actually first met Ken and Glenn, and it was a show with Scott. It was May 2020. And cheers, Ken Walls. Thanks so much. And then I got my first hug from Glenn Morshower in Orlando, Texas. And it was so funny. He walked up to me and said, "It's so funny not to see you in the box." So Glenn Morshower has over 250 roles in blockbuster films and acclaimed TV shows. Glenn Morshower is a household name. Do you know him? If not, you'll know him after this. For his unforgettable portrayal of Agent Aaron Pierce in 24, to his roles in The Resident and Black Hawk Down, and Panhandle and Manhunt. And he played the President of the United States in Manhunt, if you haven't caught that one yet. Glenn's career is a masterclass in longevity and passion. Beyond the screen, he's a motivational speaker. He inspires people and me to live our aligned lives and achieve our dreams. And you can be doing it too. He's a personal coach. He's my personal friend. He's my advisor, one of my top 5 males in the world. Let's dive into the incredible world of Mr. Glenn Morshower. Woohoo! Thank you so much.
Oh, how gracious you are. I love that parade of pictures.
You know who did that for me? Jack Schulman. We met him in Texas, in Orlando.
Yeah.
Pictures with.
Did you mean Orlando, Florida?
Yes, Orlando, Florida.
Yeah.
When you were there and you spoke, and you were amazing. You had.
I was going to say, I was unaware of there being in Orlando, Texas, but it isn't just the fact that they were done well. It's the photos themselves were really beautiful, and the assembly, and I'm such a stickler, Cynthia, you know this about me. I am a perfectionist, but I'm not what I would call an annoying perfectionist. I just really believe that most things can usually be done better than they are done. And so I have a really high standard, and I live my life that way with an elevated bar, which is a good thing to do. But at times it can be lonely, because if you have an elevated bar, you find that very few people also share that elevated bar relative to the masses. So when I see something that's beautiful, I always comment on it. So kudos to the people that put together that opening piece.
Well, thank you. And thank you, Jack, for all your work on putting that together. I really appreciate it. And thank you to Ken Walls. Big shout out bringing us together tonight. And thank you to our audience. Thank you for hanging out for us. We're so happy that you're here. You can jump back on and get your messages out and ask Glenn anything that you were afraid to ask him before, in class or wherever. Meanwhile, can you share your journey into acting and how it evolved over the past 5 decades?
Absolutely. When I was 11 years old, and I'll sort of hit the fast forward button on this, but when I was a little kid, age 11, my mother decided to take my brother Brian and me to the Dallas Theater Center to expose us to something we'd never seen before, which was theater. And I believe we were introduced to the concept of culture, having a little extra culture in our lives. And we went to the play, and lo and behold, there was a young girl that I knew from school. My friend Debbie Siegel was in the play, did not know she was going to be in the play. So it was a real surprise for me. And she looked like she was having so much fun up there in this fantasy world. And it no longer seemed like a fantasy. It would have seemed like a fantasy to me, but it didn't, because I had a friend in it. So all of a sudden that created a link between this beautiful fantasy and its havability, that I could actually do something like that, because after all, Debbie's up there doing it. And she's heard me. I've done so many talk shows over the years, and both on camera and off camera. And I always mention the presence of Debbie in that show, because I strongly suspect, had Debbie not been in that show, that it would have struck me as a young boy as being something that was inaccessible. And so I see things courtesy of that day in my life. I see things that are viewed as a long shot by other people, as something that is eminently accessible to me. And so my mother, thank God, when I told her that I was interested in doing what Debbie was doing, she took me seriously and enrolled me in classes. I took theater training at DTC for 4 years and then received a phone call from a talent agency that asked me if I wanted to come out and audition for a national television commercial. And that's when it occurred to me that you could actually make money doing this because the theater was, as you know, on a volunteer basis. And I wound up booking the very first thing I read for, did a series of commercials, then right into a movie audition brought about through that same agency that had, had me audition for commercials. And I signed with them and started making my living as an actor. And I was being paid to do it regularly by the time I was 15 years old, and that was 50 years ago.
Isn't that amazing, ladies and gentlemen? You have some fans who jumped on. Jeff is here. Do you want to put up his little message here so we can do a shout out to Jeff? Here we go. Watch what others do and do something different. Glenn Morshower. Thanks
Yeah,
for
what he wants me to comment on there is that I often give this advice that if you really want to know how to carve a beautiful path, a unique path, and a path where your dreams come true, is watch what most everybody else is doing and then don't do that. And that is not an arrogant statement. It's a matter of noticing how many people do you know right now, including yourself, by the way, not you, Cynthia, but I'm saying you, the viewer, whoever's watching tonight. How many of you see people who are bouncing up and down regarding the quality of their lives and the kind of fun they're having and the fulfillment they're experiencing, the comfort, the ease, the joy? That doesn't mean they don't face hardships. Of course, everybody faces hardships. And I noticed that number seems fairly small. And when you ask people, and I do this all the time, I ask people, are you living your dream? And what that is usually greeted by is silence. Very seldom do you have people going, oh, absolutely. In fact, that's the rarest answer. And sometimes there will be a delay followed by, why, dream might be kind of an extreme word. I don't know that I'm living my dream, So my point is that the idea of having your dream life be the actual life you're living strikes most people as a lofty scenario, something that seems far-fetched. And that's just, that's for those other people. That's certainly not for me. And so the idea of having a dream life, I think for most people, is a fantasy. And I have taken it upon myself to try to be a liaison between those fantasy lives and their eminent havability. So I'm far more devoted to coaching, to teaching, to public speaking than I am to acting, even though I still love acting and I'm doing that and a lot of directing these days. But by far, this kind of thing, sitting here speaking with you, this is what I think exercises and stretches me to the best of my God-given ability. I think it's exactly what I'm in the world to do because I've already tasted plenty. I certainly welcome more, but there's a term in Judaism, and I'll be very brief about this, but the term in Judaism, I was raised Jewish. My mother fell in love with a Jewish man when I was 6, and he adopted us and taught us about Judaism. And I'm a little bit of all things. That's kind of where I stand today, but I was exposed to Judaism for a number of years. And a word that I picked up from Hebrew is the word dayenu, which means enoughness or sufficiency. So I want to use that word right now and say that I live in a condition of dayenu where at 65, if I were to experience no more additional developments career-wise as an actor, and there's no part of me that thinks that's the case, but if that were to happen, I would still be in a blessed condition of dayenu, of enoughness. I'm not looking for more. And it's a chronic disease in this country. If you're always on the quest for more, it's got to be more. I'll feel better when I get that extra bedroom added to my house, or when I buy that new car, or when I finally get married, or once I become a parent. And all of these are excuses. Every one of them, what they have in common is they are excuses to postpone joy until the point where those things happen. And what's interesting is once they do happen, you find that the people, they're not content, and it didn't bring about the sense of security and completeness that they were in search of. So the joy that's brought about by obtaining more is really, one, it's illusory. And I just don't think it's valid, because I've known a lot of people who were very, very wealthy, and they were not necessarily happier than people who did not have that kind of wealth. So I don't think wealth makes you happy. I think wealth exaggerates a pre-existing condition. So if you're already happy and you obtain wealth and dreams start coming true, then that existing condition of happiness will be exaggerated. But it's not going to gift you with happiness. If you're chronically unhappy and all of a sudden you obtain a lot of wealth, then what you are now is a rich, miserable person. And I've known plenty of people like that. So just some thoughts on that subject.
It's true. It's true. And you have to choose to be happy. It's a journey. And if you're not happy, you're not doing the journey, you're going to miss the whole life story. You're going to miss your whole passion. You're going to miss the whole thing you're here for. And I have to say, you've helped me really evolve in this area. I'm so excited about the next chapter of my life, because I actually got all my dreams. And now through your classes and your instruction, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to get out of bed in the morning. And
that's great.
Best day of my life, right? Yes.
Wonderful. What a wonderful mindset, and it's interesting that you mentioned the expression, the idea of missing your dreams. And there is a belief out there, and I'm not going to make that belief wrong. I'm just telling you, I've seen too much evidence to believe this. The idea that you can't miss what your dream is. Like, you can't miss that. You can't. It's as in it's impossible. No, it's actually quite possible. Right. And that can be achieved through laziness. If you don't take actionable steps, I'll promise you, your life train can miss you, because it's not up to the train. It's up to you. It's up to me. It's up to everyone to be available. One, you have to make yourself available for those things through the reality that you create for yourself. And then you have to take those actionable steps that when the train comes down the track, you get on it. I've noticed that even on your major airlines, that if you don't get there by the time 10 minutes before, that's what it is, 10 minutes before, they close the gate. And even though you're there and the plane you're scheduled to catch is also there and you have a ticket, it would suggest that you should be able to board the plane. But not if you're not there 10 minutes before the flight leaves. That's all there is to it. So you said, but I had a ticket. And they go, and what's your point? And life works the same way. So I think that people, everyone in the world, Cynthia, we could do a 9-hour show on this subject. Everyone in the world exists in a state of pure potentiality. But are you doing something to activate your potential? It's certainly there. Everyone you pass by on the street, they are packed with potential. But are they participating actively in their own potentiality? This is great stuff. And thank you for not, bringing me on to ask me what sports scores were going on.
I wouldn't do that to you.
But congrats to your Washington Commanders. Congrats to your Washington Commanders, by the way.
Woohoo! Woohoo! In fact, Robert is up in Baltimore. He's a Ravens fan. Hey, Robert. And I want to say a shout out to Dan Altmeyer. Thanks for saying hi.
Hey, guys.
Right. Yes. And we have Lynn. Lynn shared it out. Thank you so much for sharing it.
Lynn Serrano?
Yes.
Oh, please. Hi, Lynn. Hi, honey.
There she is. Look, shared. She's such a team player talking about sports.
Lynn's an angel, and we lost a friend today. And I know Lynn posted about her, and our friend Deborah. And anyway, just sending hugs to all of her family.
There's a lot of hugs to go out in this world currently.
Yeah. Yeah.
And let's say hi to Eric B. Flanore. He's very supportive. He's always coming on every show.
Who doesn't love Eric?
Yes, look at that. The mermaid and the man of mass motivation. I love you both. We think of Glenn as inspiration. We've got one of his sayings, I live today in such a way that tomorrow I'm proud of my yesterdays.
Thank you for saying it correctly.
Oh,
That's exactly. I hate when people misquote others. That was really, really, really good. I live today in such a way that tomorrow I'm proud of my yesterday. Well, Eric's a man of faith, and I want to show him that if I bend my chin, my bearded chin down enough, if I get it down here and we don't see the neck, it looks like I'm a priest.
yes, you're a priest, you're a minister, you're a therapist, you're an actor, you're a coach, you're a inspirational speaker.
I should have worn my white collar.
Oh, next show. And let's see, Patricia's on. We didn't say hi to Patricia yet.
Hi, Patricia.
We love you. Thanks for being on. So, what is the secret to maintaining such a long and successful career in Hollywood?
Balance.
Balance in all.
Wellness, balance in all things. Having some measure of integrity, trusting the process, trusting life, befriending life, where you realize that life has nothing against you. Life is not your enemy. It's interesting, even in prayers of protection, and I'm not judging anyone. I'm asking them to consider what they say when they say things like, dear God, please protect my family. Have they ever stopped to consider God's half of that equation? Because when we say, please protect my family, it's so easy for me to hear God going, as though I had other plans. I mean, really? You're going to ask me to do my job? So I live my life on the assumption of protection, right? On the assumption of wisdom. That's why my prayers, and I'm certainly very much a man of faith, but I don't pray the prayer of gimme, gimme, gimme. I pray the prayer of thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you. Thank you, God. Thank you, life. Thank you, incredible system that we live within. So you ask me the secret. I really think it's reverence, and it's reverence for the whole thing, Cynthia, for the whole thing. As we like to say down here in the South, the whole kit and caboodle, right? So if you have a reverence for the entire thing, that means the ups, the downs, the hills, the valleys, and all points in between. I love being here. I love the assignment of being human. I love the privileges that are inherent with that. I love that we get to be agents of change, and we get to help others that often can't help themselves. They're not in a position to help themselves. You see simple things that really tug at my heart, like a video of an animal that tried to jump a barbed wire fence, and gets hung up in the fence. And if it's hung up bad enough, that animal will stay stuck there until it dies. It'll starve to death. It'll be dehydrated, but it's caught. And here's the problem. It can't do anything about it. And humans are a very elevated breed if and when we act like it. If we act like that, then a human comes along with a simple pair of snips, of wire snips, and cuts the animal free. The animal doesn't cut the human free. The human cuts the animal free. And I kind of think that that's what we're called to do in life. In addition to taking care of ourselves, we are sort of issued some metaphorical wire snips. And when we see people that are hung up in situations and we're in a position to do something about it, that's what we're called to do. That's called having a cooperative spirit with life. And when we have that, then life cooperates back in return. That is not, I should be clear, the motive. That's not the reason. That's not why we do it. We do it because of love, and we do it because it's the right thing to do. So more often than not, when people seek my counsel, I just tell them, just keep doing the right thing. Whatever it is, just keep doing what you know to be the right thing, and trust the process. Don't look for a cookie to be awarded to you for your good behavior, just know that that's the right thing to do. Just keep making the right choice. Life is an amalgamation of choices. And when we choose well, we live well.
And you feel good. It makes you so happy. And
Of course.
you always know the answer if you go way down there, as they say, deep
Right.
down.
So if you're feeling good, then that elevates your magnetism. And the more magnetic you are, the more things are drawn into you effortlessly. You don't have to work hard. That's the thing. Is hard work is evidence, like really, really, like you're just wearing yourself out. It's probably more than you need to be doing. You just need to be plugged in differently, where there is a little more of a glide, a little more of an ease to what you're doing. That to me is the confirmation of synchronicity. The confirmation is when you notice the change from struggle to ease. You go, wow, I'm not struggling. There's a lot of stuff that's happening organically and naturally and effortlessly. Yeah, it's a condition called flow. So you're either in flow or you're in resistance, which is love, or you're in fear. That's the same thing, right? So love is flow and fear is resistance. Patricia says the key word is notice. Yes. Patricia's a chronic noticer, and I love that about her.
She is. And Josh said it costs nothing to be kind and love others. And that's so true. And it's so easy just to give a smile. Do you see how many people walk around? A smile, kind word,
Yep.
acknowledgement of their presence. Don't just bounce off them and keep walking. To hold the door open for you.
Yeah, well, door openings. You've heard me talk about that a lot. It's interesting that there seems to be a distance, and nobody ever taught us this. They didn't teach us what to do or what not to do, but they just said, well, it's nice if you open the door for someone. And for some reason, that distance where we'll do that seems to stop at about 10 feet. With some people, it's even as close as 8 feet. But if anyone is outside of that 10-foot distance, say, from the door that you're going in and they're about to go in, they're on their own. And a simple yet somehow spectacular thing to do is the next time you're going through a door and you look, maybe it's the post office or the grocery store, and you look back and here's someone 25 feet away. And you actually stop and you wait and you hold the door. And I'm going to promise you, anyone who's willing to take me up on this challenge, here's what you're going to see. About 9 out of 10 times, anytime you hold a door open for someone, they say, thank you. Mm-hmm. It's not a big to do. It's not like, thank you. It's just, thank you. They walk by. 1 out of 10 won't say anything. Mm-hmm. And we don't want to go get upset about that. It's like, that's their deal. That's not ours. We did the right thing. We did the kind thing. But what I've noticed is when you hold the door from, say, 20 feet, 25, 30, 50, really great distances, when the person walks by, they never, hand to God, they never say, thank you. Ever. What they do is they say, thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm talking 100% of the time.
Yes.
I've been doing this for years. They go, thank you. Or thank you. Kind of surprised, like, thank you. Sometimes they'll go, well, that wasn't necessary. Or how nice of you to wait and hold the door. It always creates a really big expression. So what are we doing if we're doing our job to create that kind of big expression in others? What are we doing that lights people up? Come on with it. What are we doing? What are we doing?
Come on with it.
Are we? Oh my God, you have a come on with it mug?
I do.
Oh, that's fantastic.
You don't have one?
Dan's, I do not. So Dan says I'm a long distance door holder as well.
Yes, Dan is excellent at that. And you know what? They start to hurry up to get there faster too when they see that you're waiting. And then everyone's smiling.
Yeah. Now the
Beautiful
idea.
thing. I know,
Oh,
Justin, you love the beer, don't you?
thank you, Justin. The idea is not. I want to be real clear. The idea is not. You know what? My alarm keeps going off and off and off. I'm going to shut the whole thing down.
Okay, that's good.
Um,
I'm gonna make sure that this guy's
but Cynthia, it's interesting because I think people can misunderstand this and try to use it for their personal gain, which means they're trying to manipulate the law, right? The laws that govern, we call them immutable laws, unchanging. That somehow it becomes about look at me, look at me, look at the nice thing I did. No, it's not about that. So the minute you try to draw attention to yourself and take a bow, so to speak, you sort of cancel the blessing. The idea is that there is nothing at stake here, right? You don't want anything in return for it. And if you really want to help somebody, do it without an expected ROI, right? Just do it because.
it's fun.
And you
It
know,
brings
I
joy to everybody.
I've been known to tell people in elevators, and I've done this more than a few times, and I really love doing it. When I'm in a lonely elevator ride coming down from a high rise, and we're headed down early in the morning, and nobody else gets on the elevator, and always say good morning and so forth. And if we strike up a conversation as they're leaving, because you only have what, 30 seconds that you're spending, maybe 20, and you realize you are operating in the closest proximity you will ever operate with that person. So when the doors open, I go, this may seem peculiar for a stranger to tell you this, but it occurs to me that that was our time. That was it. So not only do I want to tell you have a beautiful day, but enjoy the rest of your life.
Ooh,
And I have to tell you, and I've done it a bunch of times, it floors people. It floors them. And they look and go, that may be the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. Enjoy the rest of your life. And it's said to me by someone who just took a simple elevator ride. And what I think it does is it refurbishes any kind of spiritual erosion that they may have experienced. It does. It refurbishes it and has them going, oh my God, there's still good people in the world. There's
yeah,
still good people in the world. That person didn't owe me a big statement like that. They just wished me well with the rest of my life. Whew. And don't you know that stays with them?
yeah,
Don't you know they tell several people that day? And it's possible that they tell people that for decades. For decades. Because I know there was a man when I was 14 years old. So I'm sitting here telling you about something that happened 51 years ago. And this man and I spent maybe 10 minutes together. Have no idea what his name was. I was a kid and he came up to me on a pier, a fishing pier in Port Aransas, Texas, when I was 14 years old and just engaged me in conversation. I guess he sensed that I would be receptive, and I was. So we're talking, and he's probably 20 years older than me. He's probably in his mid 30s at the time. And he had an accent just like this. And here's the thing he said that changed my life. He said, Glenn, and it took him 2 syllables to say my 1 syllable name. He said, Glenn, if you don't know why you believe the things you believe, son, those are not your beliefs. They're somebody else's. And it floored me. And here I am at 65 going, I'm pretty sure I was being visited by an angel that day to teach me something that's really valid. So, whatever your beliefs are, examine them. Otherwise, you're living your life as an echo chamber. Why did you do it? Well, because somebody told me to. Why did you believe it? Well, someone told me to. Right? So, what could be happening is that you've traded in what you might have gone on to believe yourself if you had trusted your instincts. And instead, you set up somebody else's belief system to operate underneath and within. And that may turn out to have been a good choice, but you don't want to do it automatically. You don't want to do it automatically. First of all, if it's the truth, we know this: the truth never minds being examined, ever. But if it's a lie, I'll promise you, it doesn't want to be examined. So Yes, sir. A faith is not tested, can't be trusted. Yes, sir, Eric. Yes, sir.
And I hope some of you have your paper and pencils outside, because these are nuggets that you can borrow and incorporate into your own lives, especially that elevator one. That is a good one.
Yeah, but I want to be clear, and I know you know this because you know me, and others don't. They know me from television, they know me from the movies, from the Transformer films, or maybe it's 24, The Resident, and there's certainly aspects of me in those roles, but I play for keeps in this lifetime, and this stuff is not a joke, and it's not a way to live to try to impress others. It's just this dance is fairly brief, you know, and I also don't think it's too brief. And I don't think it's too long, because if I'm walking around declaring it to be too brief, if you think about it, that means I don't trust the process. I've decided, well, it's just too short. Life's too short. Life is what it is. And we never know when we're going to exit. And we've had some dear friends that graduated Earth School recently. We both know them. And this is something that happens on average 60,000 times a day. That's your math. Approximately 60,000 people graduate Earth School a day and leave this world. So we don't know when that day is, but what we do know is that it's not right now. And there it goes. There's another minute, another second that just went by. So we're still here. So there must be things for us to do while we're here, and make it count. Do we have any kind of questions? You said that there might be some people on that had questions. I don't know if they do, but I certainly want to be available for that.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, put your questions in. I know we had a couple. Let me see. Actually, a couple got texted to me. But meanwhile, what was it like working on 24 and portraying iconic Agent Aaron Pierce for 7 seasons? Everyone always wants to know that one.
Well, it was great. You know, the role was intended originally to be what I call jokingly a paper towel role, which means it's going to be wadded up and thrown away after just a couple of weeks. They didn't expect to go anywhere with the role, and so I took it expecting to do 2 weeks on the show, weeks as in 2 episodes, nothing more. But there was this beautiful chemistry between the character of David Palmer, who was the president of the United States for the first 5 seasons of the show, and Aaron Pierce. And David Palmer was played by Dennis Haysbert, wonderful, wonderful actor. And the audiences really responded to the brotherhood that was expressed between the two of us. So they opted to keep Aaron around and alive. And next thing you know, I'm doing the show for 7 years in what was one of the most wonderful shows that's ever been on television. Certainly a very smart show, a very entertaining show, not entertaining as in laughs, but entertaining as in dramatic and very gripping. And I'll tell you what we didn't make is a good sleeping pill. Nobody went, I'm going to watch an episode and then it's going to just lull me off into a nice sleep. No, what happened is people watched 1 and then they watched 10 in a row.
Yes.
Yeah. So we were, I think there's a case to be made for we may have been the most addictive television show in history. Certainly top 5, where you just couldn't stop watching. And so people would be frustrated in the first season because they didn't want to wait. And that was the only thing we ever heard complained about, was that they didn't want to wait another week. Like, why did it end? So then they would wait and record all of the shows on their VHSs.
Yes.
And then they would watch them. So that way they were able to get it, a straight feed into the vein. And anyway, but it was a great experience. And Kiefer Sutherland is one of the nicest and most generous people I've ever worked with. And it has opened doors for me worldwide. So I'm blessed. I'm blessed to have been a part of that wonderful team.
It's fabulous. And what about a moment from Transformers? Oh, wait a minute. Justin had a question. Actually, before that, he was asking if Baloney was involved in the audition.
We've heard the Baloney story too much. I'm afraid we're going to mess this interview up if we
Okay, we won't do that.
Let's let that one be private between us, bud.
The current TV movie he's working on, oh, he's got a lot in the hopper there.
I do have a lot going on. The beard was actually grown for a role, Justin. It's a movie called In Spite of Ourselves, and it will be in theaters next fall. I don't know the exact date of release, but we filmed it in Portland, Oregon, and we just filmed it there for the mostly the entire month of November, and it was spectacular. What a great time, to be in Oregon with all the leaves changing and everything. And
Yeah.
I've been to Oregon a number of times, but it was my first time to actually film a movie in Oregon. And I play an aging Alzheimer's patient, and it was one of two scripts. And I'm not exaggerating when I say I've read hundreds, several hundreds, and I've done 272 of those. 277.
Woohoo! I have to up my thing.
Yeah,
Wow.
277 total films and television shows. But out of
Woohoo!
only two of them made me cry when I read them. That I'm not just choked up, I'm pouring tears while I'm looking at my computer screen. And I thought, that's a movie. That's that's an ass kicker. And I really am honored to be a part of this. So look for it in the theaters. Again, the name of it is In Spite of Ourselves.
I can't wait to see it. In spite of ourselves.
Yeah, it's a story of a rising comedian who's experiencing international fame, and he, in his rise, is experiencing some rather profound losses, and this parade of endings and new beginnings. And I don't want to go beyond that to tell you what he faces in the course of an hour and 40-minute movie, but it's a lot, and it's a tearjerker, a real tearjerker, but one that leaves you feeling filled rather, and full of intrinsic goodness and what it means to be a human. And I can't wait. And by this time next year, so many people will have seen the film. It'll be really wonderful.
Fabulous. I know, or I think I know that the favorite movie was the other one was Black Hawk Down.
Yes, that is to date is still my favorite film that I've ever been a part of.
Do you want to tell the folks about that before we get to
Yeah, we shot that movie in Morocco. It's of course the story about what happened in Somalia, but the Somalia people are not quite as film friendly as the Moroccans, and so we didn't go to Somalia to film it. But this was in 2001. We started filming right before 9/11. And I actually want to mention something that I was privileged to have happen en route to Morocco. And I don't think you've ever even heard this, Cynthia, but when we were flying, I was living in Los Angeles at the time, and the flight was Air France from Los Angeles to Paris. And then we changed in Paris and flew down to Casablanca. And then we were filming in the capital of Rabat, a short distance north of Casablanca. En route to Casablanca from Paris, I was sitting next to Jeremy Piven. If you guys know Jeremy Piven, very well-known actor, you can look him up, Piven, and you'll go, oh, that guy. And then you'll go, you mean the star of Entourage? Yes. At that time, he wasn't. Entourage hadn't been done yet. But Jeremy was in the film with us, and so he was seated there in first class right next to me. And we had this fabulous conversation all the way to France. And now we're on our way down to Casablanca. And no sooner than we lifted off from Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris, the flight attendant comes out and says, you gentlemen have been invited to join our pilots in the cockpit.
Ooh.
Now you think about this. What I do know is that it's special. This is very special. I've never been invited into the cockpit before. What I don't know is how special and how coveted this experience will become only a couple of months from now, because it was a few months later when 9/11 happened. And once 9/11 happened, nobody has ever been allowed to fly in the cockpit since, as an observer, as a guest. And I'm sitting here going, it seems that every experience that could be made available to me has come about in my lifetime.
Love that.
I really mean this, that, hey, a gentle whisper into your ear, you're getting ready to be invited to something that no one will be invited to in just a few more months. So now would be an ideal time to just say yes and go experience the cockpit. And we didn't just go in there for a couple of minutes. We were in there long enough to fly completely across Spain. And when we saw the Straits of Gibraltar, right there where Spain and Morocco merge, looking at it from the air, from the front of a 747, it was then time to go back and sit in my seat. And I just thought, wow, that was spectacular. And a few months later, it was not only was it spectacular, but that'll never happen again.
I miss the days of TWA when the kids got to do that. We got to do that.
That what they did?
Yeah, we used to get to go up to the meet the pilot and be up there for a few minutes.
Oh, that's great.
When we went to Seychelles, the airport wasn't built yet, so we went on an amphibian, and the pilot cured me of air sickness by letting me drive the amphibian for a few minutes before we went and landed on the water. And I never got air sick again.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, everyone needs to experience. I hear some people haven't even flown on a plane yet. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an amazing. The world's so small. You got to go visit other people because it opens your mind, and you go,
Sure it does.
Wow. I saw the question from Jeff. Here you go.
You could have a talk with any metaphysics or enlightened master, whether alive or dead, who would it be? There would be several. Would be too difficult to choose one. If I had to choose one, I'm sure that I would choose Jesus, not just because of his popularity, but because I'm genuinely moved by the way he lived. But I would not only want to, I would say, hey, Jesus, if it's not too much to ask, could we have a couple of other folks at the table? And if you've ever studied this man's life, you know what he would have said. He would have said, of course.
Just like you, come on in.
All right, come on, let's go.
Let's spend the night. Yes, we got
room.
room.
At this point, I really would have loved to sit down with Gandhi. I would love to have sat down with the Buddha. I would love to have sat down with Wayne Dyer. And I was getting ready to be on stage with Wayne Dyer when Wayne passed away. And so that was an almost in my life because I had been studying Wayne Dyer's material. And I really just hold the belief, Jeff, to your point, is that these great masters, what they all have in common is they either immediately or eventually, it's one of the two, they immediately or they eventually seem to arrive at the same conclusions. They're not vastly different. They're not.
True.
This idea that it all finds a way to migrate back to love. And that if we master the art of love, everything else seems to fall in place effortlessly, right? Just get your love game right. Get your love game right. You don't have to worry about the specifics. I want to ask the audience a question. And this is on recipes. Cynthia has been exposed to teachings on recipes a lot, that recipes are what create outcomes. So, for example, has anyone here, by show of hands or comments, has anyone watching today ever seen it rain on a cloudless day? I haven't. And that's because it doesn't. Because rain needs clouds. That's how rain occurs. So there's a teaching in this, and the teaching is whatever it is that you wish to experience, all you have to do is become the cause. We live in a choice, consequence, cause, and effect world. So if you wish to experience something and you're not experiencing it, I can promise you in advance the hitch and the giddy up is you have not yet become its cause. You haven't become the cause, or you haven't arranged things to be causative in this matter. So if you've ever looked at a cookbook, you'll understand this principle with ease, because you look at a cookbook, and what a cookbook does is it explains a couple of things. One, it explains what ingredients are necessary to create that outcome that you desire. And maybe that outcome is simple bags, chocolate chip cookies. Patricia calls it reverse karma. I get it. Yes, yes, and yes. So chocolate chip cookies. And it tells you what you're going to need. And it doesn't tell you anything other than what you need. It doesn't talk to you about the bricks that would be nice for your front walkway, because bricks are not a part of the recipe. So it only mentions what is needed to create chocolate chip cookies. Then it also does another very important thing. It points out the portions. It tells you how much of each ingredient. So it doesn't just say, take this, this, and this, throw it together, and you'll have cookies. No, no. It tells you how much. Then it also tells you what temperature the oven needs to be set at. A lot of people don't know this. You can cook cookies if you set your oven to 80 degrees. But the problem is you'll be dead by the time they're cooked. You'll be gone because 80 degrees doesn't make cookies fast enough. So if you think of your mind and the expectancy you hold as the temperature of the oven, then you'll cook cookies right on time. And they will tell you, take these recipes, ingredients, here's the portions, put them in a preheated oven of 375. And at this point in time, voila, you will have cookies. And what I can tell you is it never fails. It's never failed. As long as all of those things were in play, I've never magically opened the door of my oven and there was chicken fried steak.
So
I mean, I threw in all the ingredients for cookies and it turned into chicken fried steak. I don't get it. And so we laugh at that, and we should laugh at it. We laugh at that, but the greater truth is, why do people sit around foolishly wasting time hoping, wishing, and wanting that what they're cooking up in their life is going to change when the ingredients haven't? The ingredients haven't changed at all. Using the same approach that you've used to get the results that you're currently experiencing, but you're convinced that because it's a new year, that magically the calendar, and it being 2025, is going to magically reach into your oven and change the outcome. It's an insane belief. And then we hold God responsible for the lack of result. Are you kidding me? There's a reason we were given a brain. Use it. Use it. You want different results. The first thing you have to do is put on an oven mitt so that you can reach into your oven and get the ones out of the oven that are not generating the results you want. You got to empty your oven and start over, right? Some of those ingredients may be useful in the new recipe. I don't know. Depends on what you want to cook. But if you have to start over, it's like Santa giving good cooking advice. Well, that has to be Joe. Of course it's Joe.
Yes.
I love me some Joe. I love me more than a little Joe. I love me a lot of Joe.
He was cute. He said he recognizes one. He thinks he knows you because he had the guy on the right looks familiar.
Vaguely. I think he meant to say vaguely familiar. But, I'm not kidding about this stuff. It's really good. What I do love about Joe is Joe and I have very similar senses of humor. And that would be one of the ingredients that I would say to a successful life. I would put that on the list of ingredients. How's your sense of humor? Because you're going to need one. You're going to need one. If you haven't honed and refined your sense of humor, your recipes are going to cook poorly. They certainly won't cook as well as they would if you had a sense of humor. Cynthia, with your blessing.
Yes.
May I share something that just happened today?
Absolutely.
So it's fresh. It's like right off the presses. And I got to tell you, I'm going to be talking about this for a while. Better still, if my battery on my phone is working, I'll even show you. So okay. I'm speaking at a conference in April in Orlando. And they asked me to do one of those early greetings. Hi, guys, looking forward to coming to the conference. And we do this as little promo plugs and usually bang out a couple of them as you get closer and closer to the event. So the first one went out today. And I decided that since it's in Orlando, where you and I saw each other, right? Orlando is known for sunshine and redheads are not known for sunshine. I thought I'd have a little fun and put some zinc oxide on my nose and go and shoot it outside, right? Getting ready for Florida because we had bright blue skies today, even though it's a little bit nippy. Cute. So I go outside and we start, Carolyn is holding the camera, my wife, for those of you who don't know. We start filming the promo. And no sooner than we start filming, the lawn care people 2 houses away decide that now would be an ideal time to light up the leaf blowers. Okay. So I'm going to show you that what happened, instead of getting upset about it and going, well, we're going to have to wait another hour or 45 minutes or whatever until they're done. Instead, we pivoted and I decided to make the leaf blower part of the promo.
Can't
I'm
wait.
going to show that to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thinking out of the box, being clever, seeing things besides the way they appear. Ladies and gentlemen, open up your imaginations because that makes life fun. I have a great time in class. Sean says, having no sense of humor is depriving yourself of the greatest medicine, laughter. Hi, Sean. And someone else shared it out. And I know that Dan had a question too back in there.
Okay, hang on. I found this.
Yay.
So give me just a second. And I'm hoping when I pull this camera down that it won't disconnect anything. Hang on. Okay.
Okay.
So here we go.
Can't quite see it yet. Oh, there we
Yeah,
go.
you'll hear it. Hang on.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. Sorry about the view. I've got to turn up the volume. There we go. Okay. And we'll start again.
Well, hello to all of my friends at the True Learning Academy. Glenn Morshower here from the Fox series or perhaps you're fans of The Resident, also on Fox. I wanted to take just a moment today to let you know how excited I am to be coming to Orlando to speak at the conference in April. My talk has been revised. It is now called How to Handle Adversarial Conditions. So that will be fun. I can't wait to see everybody there.
Adorable. Your Ernest Hemingway look with your Key West t-shirt on. How appropriate. Number 1 mile in Key West. And meanwhile, we have some pictures back from, oh, here he comes. We have some pictures back from the last time we were in Orlando, our group shots. Do you want to pop up a few of those, Eric, while we wait for Glenn to come back? Look at this.
Well, I guess we're going to.
Here's our Orlando picture. And there's Glenn and the tribe. All of those beautiful faces, Patricia. And there's Carolyn and Victoria. Carolyn is his beautiful wife, who is amazing. Can you imagine being married to this superstar?
I actually think that's from Dallas, Cynthia.
Was that Dallas?
Yeah, that's Dallas. That's out there because Victoria never went to Orlando.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's Dallas.
Good point. And Dallas. That was another great. And look at this. This is Glenn's sanctuary, his office where he shoots and he does his audition tape. No, he doesn't do those anymore. Zoom meetings to meet the people who are going to hire him. And this is when I first met you on the Ken and Glenn show with Scott McCann.
Oh, is it really? Wow.
Yes, it is. It was May 2020.
Wow.
And, Bob Donnelly and Ken Walls introduced me to you. And then you were on Ken Walls's Grow Live Academy. And you said, anyone wants to come see my class, come see it. And that was, 5 years ago? And I stuck. Because it's amazing. Can you imagine getting this kind of wisdom? I actually go to all the classes because I can't get enough. It's like water to my soul. I know that I'm growing and becoming a much better person. And if you surround yourselves with great people and great wisdom on the right path, it just brings you joy. And you meet all these other great people like Dan and Lynn and Patricia and Sean and Jeff and Josh and Moore and Grace and everyone else. I'm just so blessed. Dan says, was there something special about playing the president of the USA? Oh, yes, it was. He'll be right back. And sound. He was amazing. Have you seen Manhunt yet, Dan? You have to see Manhunt, where he plays the president of the United States.
Cynthia, honey, I'm sorry about that glitch. Sometimes when I physically move the camera and relocate, it goes cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but I got it squared away.
Nope.
Yeah, I played Andrew Johnson in the series Manhunt for Apple TV, and that was the biggest stretch of my career because we don't have any live uh, evidence of him. We only have stories and we have photographs. We have no recordings. So I went into my own imagination and studied his background. He was raised in the Carolinas, and then at about age 7, his parents moved him to Tennessee, where he started a few years later, and not that many later, about 19. When he was about 19, he started a political career and was governor of the state of Tennessee at a very young age. And so I started thinking, I'm a dialectician. I do a lot of different voices. And I started imagining what the South Carolinian dialect is and created a merger, a hybrid between that and Tennessee, and came up with a voice that I just thought really would be Andrew Johnson-esque, and went with it. And they loved it. And of course, Hollywood, if they've got enough money involved, they hire the best of the best, and those people can transform your physical appearance. And so they turned it into something that was quite amazing. And if you go online and look up my name and Andrew Johnson in Google and go to images, you'll see the transformation, and I'm clean shaven just as Andrew Johnson was. But it was amazing. And they'll even issue you hair, which they did.
If I didn't know that it was him, especially in the opening scene, I would have missed him. It was that believable as the president of the United States.
And this was the voice of Andrew. Andrew sounded just like this. It's a little more guttural, and certainly with a South Carolinian dialect, he sounded quite a bit different. So and when you add the physical appearance and all the different costume changes and so forth, it's an opportunity to become a different human being. And this is something that I've enjoyed doing my whole life.
Oh, so good. So good.
Or sometimes, I'll just for fun, I'll be one of these guys. Well, you never know, something you're going to do like this. You never know. I'm fine.
Can you see why he's always working? Because people just love to have him around the set.
Hey, Cynthia.
Yeah.
Sometimes even some of these guys, some of these East Coast heavies, right? That's fun. That's a lot of fun.
I heard that's was it NCI or you were in New York and they thought that you were from New York, that from the precinct.
Yeah, but that was on Law and Order.
Law and Order.
And I did Law and Order, and I did Law and Order SVU, and both times I did the show with a New York dialect, and they said we didn't know you were from. We always thought you were from the South. I'm like, I am from the South. But in the show, I sounded just like this. So yeah, it's a little bit different. I've always been fascinated. Some people learn to play the piano by ear. I learned to play the human voice by ear. Just listening to the way you never know. Sometimes people sound like this, right? You go to Australia, they sound like this. And if you just listen, it's just a broad-lit moonlit night tonight, Jack, don't you know for sure, right? If you just listen, people leave patterns. And if you can pick up those patterns of speech and watch how people carry themselves and how that shapes their voice, it's interesting. Because I had a buddy years ago. He sounded like this. It didn't matter what he said. He could say things that were really heavy and awful. He could say, I'm sorry I'm late for my meeting today, but my entire family flipped over in a van. Right. And people are laughing. And it's just because he's like, man, I didn't mean to be late, but everybody flipped over in the van. Right. And then he's laughing. So when you sample your effect on people, and you've done it for a living for years, you can know in advance that when I do this, you probably will do this. You will probably, and chess players have mastered the game by knowing that. They make a calculated move, And in their mind, they're not only on this move, they're 5, 6, 7 moves ahead. This is what a chess master does. And they think, when I do this, you will, of course, naturally do this. And when you do this, I will counter with this. Then you will do this. I will counter with this. And that brings you to the conclusion that you wish to experience. So we do that as actors all the time. What I think I'm most proud of is I don't do any of that with regard to acting in my personal life. I don't act. I don't act with people. I speak the truth, and I am the truth. So, I think Carolyn's parents were understandably concerned, like, oh my God, you're marrying an actor. Because we were kids. We were 19 and 18, right? And so are you going to be able to rely on him? I mean, he's an actor. So he can lie to you all the time and convince you that what he's saying is true. And I don't do that in my personal life, right? I've made mistakes. I've made blunders, and I'm an honest man. I'm a straightforward man. I love that. I love that I absolutely separate my career from my personal life. I am silly and playful and act up and all that. But at the end of the day, you can count on me to speak the truth. So I'm pleased about that. What was it say? Genius and so special. Can you light that up again? I want to read that. We are blessed to know this beautiful. Oh, wow, Patricia, that's sweet. Thank you, Cynthia, for your incredible spirit and bringing this show to life. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. That's beautiful.
Are we out of time? Are we done? Have we yammered too much? Or me? I've yammered too much.
Just as long as we want, because you're still radiating kindness, goodness, and wisdom. And Ken Walsh just joined us, and he goes,
Ken.
You both.
I'm Ken, and I'm Glenn. And together we are Ken and Glenn.
Cheers. Ken Walls was the man who put this together, so thank you, Ken Walls. And Sean has a question for you.
Go ahead and read it, Cynthia.
What was the biggest thing you learned from either your role on or in spite of ourselves, or from the experience of making that movie?
The biggest thing I learned from it, I don't think it's what I learned from it. It's what I was privileged to do on it, which is, because most of I do so many procedurals, Sean, as you know. I've played so many chiefs of police, so many governors, so many heads of the CIA, so many heads of the FBI, cops and leaders of the military, generals, admirals, colonels, just endless authority figures. And this was the polar opposite. This was a tender feeling man who played right on the edge of his tears throughout the movie. And also, by the way, it was a guy who sounded like this. So once again, a little glimpse of it. I was not using my own voice for this. I'm using my voice, but I'm not using the way Glenn sounds. And if you look, I did it with these glasses too. But if you look what I'm doing right now with my eyes, right, just holding them a little bit droopy, right? It's an energy thing where you feel that the person is challenged. And when you're perky, you have different eyes, right? They light up. But when you just relax them, where you could go to sleep at any time, and there's a little more pain, possibly a lot more pain, and right on the edge of tears, a lot in this film. And so that kind of vulnerability, I'm seldom asked to do that. When we were in 24 in season 5, they had me fall in love with Jean Smart. And Jean's such an angel. And if you don't know who Jean Smart is, you probably have spent a lot of time living in a cave. She is a multi-Emmy winner and an extraordinarily talented woman, and just a sweetheart of a human being. And they had us fall in love. What? You're gonna let me fall in love with somebody on camera? What am I? I'm a sex symbol now? What's going on? And that happened when I'm trying to figure out what that would have been season 5. I would have been about 48, 49 years old. And it felt so good. It's like, wow, they're going to allow me to embrace some sensitivity and some sensuality. Not necessarily sexuality, but sensuality. It's like, since when is this tough guy from Transformers, since when does he have a girlfriend? So that was beautiful.
Not since Drive-In.
Say again?
You haven't had a girlfriend since Drive-In.
Well, I hadn't had an on-screen kiss since Drive-In. And
Kiss.
then
Yeah.
2 years ago, when we did the movie Grumpy Old Santa, my sweet,
Oh,
sweet angel of a friend, Kara Rayner,
that
played
was
my love
beautiful.
interest. And, you know, so now I'm a love interest at 63. That was 2 years ago. I was 63. And it was the first on-screen kiss I had had since I was a teenager, since I was 16. And my wife said, "How much?" And I said, "What? How much of the kiss are they going to show?" And she said, "No. How much are they going to pay you?" I thought that was classic. How much of the kiss are they going to? Is that what you're concerned about? How much of a kiss is it? And she's like, "No, Daddy, not at all, Daddy. I just want to know how much they're paying you."
That's terrific. Michael Williams says it was supposed to say you're both amazing.
Did you see Ken's comment?
That's the story of my life. It's tough being a sex symbol. I feel your pain.
Being a
Oh,
sex
Ken.
I feel your pain. Oh, the girls want Ken like nobody's business. They chase him up and down the street. Oh, and Ken, by the way, Ken will want me to give you this plug. If you want to see Ken Walls, the great Ken Walls, in a movie, and Ken right now is very happy as he watches this because he'll go, "Ooh, Glenn cut his beard back." Yeah, I did cut it back, Ken. I cut it back for this meeting I had yesterday. So Ken appears in Grumpy Old Santa. And no, it's not a nude scene.
Did that already in
But
Manhunt.
they wanted Ken. He says they're chasing him with knives. But if you want to see Ken Walls, all you got to do is check out Grumpy Old Santa. And Ken does a cameo. And on the next film, I promised him we will give him dialogue. He didn't speak in the movie, but anyway, Ken Walls in Grumpy Old Santa.
Yes, catch that. And catch his new book coming out. Eric, pop up the new book with Glenn and Ken and me. Ta-da!
I think that artwork looks great.
Yes, is that Jill? She did a lovely job.
I may, well, Ken's not going to want me to have a beard in that photo. So, you know, he's going to have to go with the younger me.
Let's see. We got a couple more questions before we let you go. You can pop them up there. What's a fun fact your fans might not know about you?
Two things: that I used to make my living playing professional poker, high dollar poker. That would be the first thing. And what they also might know, because I think a lot of people know by this point that I'm an inspirational speaker because it's all over the internet. I've got a lot of videos to support it. And just people have known that I've been speaking for years. So I don't think that's a secret. But the fact that I made my living playing poker is one. And the even bigger thing is that I stopped, not because I was losing. I stopped because I was winning and felt like I was losing. And what I felt like I was losing was the essence of the man that I am. Because poker, and I don't mind if people see this, I'd love them to hear my insights on the game of poker. And I understand it's agreed upon. It's not between adults and kids. It's adults agreeing to go after each other. But I will tell you that I don't like the idea of going after somebody's money. I grew out of that. And I'm not in this world to take from people. And I think what happened is as I continued to practice my spiritual disciplines, it was revealed to me in no uncertain terms that you're here to enhance others' lives, not deplete them. You're here to add to people, not take away. And on the night I quit the game, I'll never forget this. I won $3,000. And I made a phone call to my wife in the parking lot. And I said, "I think I'm done with poker." And she said, "Really?" You know, I'd played for years and she knew that I had played with very favorable results. It was highly profitable for me, but profitable to what extent and at what personal cost? How much of me was going unaddressed? How much of me was being lived with a blind eye to, where I couldn't go on to maximize what it was I was really here to do? I certainly was not sent into the world to take from other people. And it was just made real clear here. I've got 3,000 bonus dollars that only a couple of hours earlier were in the pockets of the other people. And I had beaten those people out of that money. And I felt like the money was tainted. I truly did. Now, if I want to go in and play blackjack nowadays, I don't feel that way at all because that's a corporate thing. That's a casino, and they're in the business of taking people's money all the time anyway. But I'm talking about one person going after another person. And I had been observing for quite a while how often there would be arguments at the table. And I thought, well, of course there are arguments because people are going after each other instead of trying to support each other. And this is where I really learned what it means. I think that war, for example, war is a flawed concept. I think we're admitting to the cosmos that we haven't figured it out. And we're going to continue admitting to that as long as we engage war. I really believe that. As long as war exists in this world, it is evidence that we've not gotten to that point of awakening to realize that everyone is my brother and sister. Everyone. That doesn't mean I'm going to like everybody because I know there are a lot of people that have not accessed their own likability. So I'm not going to be besties with everybody. I know that, but I'll certainly give everyone a shot, a fair shot, an opportunity to be decent and fair and kind and loving and so forth. But the minute we become adversarial toward others,
yeah, it's no fun anymore.
Say again?
It's no fun anymore.
No, it's not. And poker, and especially high stakes poker, is a ruthless game. And it's kind of like boxing in that if you're not going to hit somebody, you actually shouldn't box. You should stop. You should get out of the ring right now, because the only way to be in the ring, if you're going to declare yourself to be a boxer, is to go in, and the goal is to hurt somebody. And in this case, it was financial injury, right? That you're actually looking to inflict financial pain. If you're having a little poker game with a couple of buds over at the house, nobody cares. You're playing for inconsequential dollars. Some guy loses massively, they lose $40, right? At the end of the night, everybody has a good time. That's fun. Mm-hmm. What I was playing for, that was not fun, because when people lost, they lost thousands in an evening. And I don't know how many of you have ever experienced this, but I want to encourage you tonight. If you ever have experienced this, please don't disregard it. Pay attention to it. It's called a whisper. And that is that realization when you're in the middle of something, whatever it is, and you get a whisper, and the whisper says, I don't belong here. I don't belong here. And it doesn't matter if you've done it a lot. Doesn't matter if you've done it a lot. I don't belong here anymore. I've worn this out. My contract with this behavior has expired. And if I don't pay attention to the warning I've been given, Ken just showed up. I'm sure that Ken felt that way with regard to alcohol. I feel certain that he hit it.
Let's go gamble. Let's take their money, dude.
He hit that spot where he said, I don't belong here anymore. Doesn't matter if I've done a lot. I don't belong here anymore. I'm done. So anyway, I'm really, really grateful. But you bet, you give me a crap table, I still love that. That's fun.
Excellent. Hi, Ken.
I just wanted to come. I asked her to send me the link so I could come say hi to my bud.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Are you happy with me? I cut my beard in half.
It's getting closer. I like it.
He looks so handsome. And wait to see the promo that he did as Ernest Hemingway, wearing his 1 mile marker T-shirt from Key West.
Wow.
It's great. It's so adorable.
Have you stood at that marker in Key West, Cynthia?
Yes, of course.
You have?
Yeah.
So go ahead. You got a bonus interview here. Go ahead and see what's on Ken's mind, because he's capable of enlightening everyone.
Yes. Well, Ken Walls, I had mentioned, put up some pictures with Ken Walls in them, please, Eric. Hey, Tom, we appreciate you being on. Throw a couple of those Ken Walls pictures. Meanwhile, I met you, Ken Walls. I don't know if you remember. Well, actually, I met you before then, because I met you at Jeffrey Gittimore's. But this was the first time I saw you and Glenn together on Ken, Glenn, and Scott McCann. Yeah, this was May 2020. And here we are at your event in Dallas, Texas.
Wow.
All your peeps in there. That was so much fun. Look at everybody.
That was so awesome. Yeah.
Dina and Terry and
Jim Miller
and Steve Rizzo and Patricia and Victoria and
so many. Holy crap.
Look at all
There's
those
Terry.
little faces. And is Nick in there? Is that Nick back over there? It was amazing, you guys.
It was
if you see
amazing.
you in person, oh my gosh, it will blow your mind. I want to see you there next time.
Look,
Oh, you got your Ken Glenn shirt on.
I wear one almost every
Shameless
day.
promotion. He wears it to bed.
I do, actually.
Oh.
No, I don't even know what you were talking about, honestly, outside of listening to a whisper,
Being
which
your best self.
I'm very fond of that. I take massive action. Matter of fact, Glenn, I just talked to Laurel a little bit ago, and making arrangements for the thing in April.
So then you've made both floral arrangements and laurel arrangements.
Correct.
Good for you, Ken. Good for you.
He cannot help himself.
He can't
He
control
literally
himself.
can't. He can't. So no, I'm well, I don't, are you going to be able to make that? Do you know yet?
You're locking down for March?
April.
What's
End of April.
The date? What's the date in April?
28th, I think, is when I'll be there. 28th. Yeah.
Well,
End of the
that
month.
will work. May not. April 29th, I'm in Orlando.
Well, they'll fly you from Nevada to.
I guess it depends on how many, how the dates coordinate. I understand that within a short window you can be both in Florida and Nevada.
I mean, typically in the same day, even.
Yeah, unless it's on the moon. Yes. But I am speaking in Orlando on the 29th, and all of this is provided that I'm not in Korea.
Right.
If I'm out of the country, but something just it doesn't feel like that's the way it's going to go. I get those gut feelings. I just don't suspect that's the deal. But something also tells me, again in the gut, that this is going to be the busiest spring of my career.
Well, April 2nd, we have our little thing where we're getting together with everybody that's doing the book.
Okay.
April 2nd?
In person or online?
In person at Jeff Crilly's studio.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. We're going to do.
Why am I just now hearing about that? That's cool.
You're not just now hearing about.
Yeah, no, I think I am just now hearing about that.
Now, everybody's going to say, thanks, Ken. We had this.
Ken has come on to talk about his little thing.
Yes, and meanwhile, we have just 2 or 3 more questions.
He said little.
Your voiceover work in video games compared to on-screen.
No, wait a minute. We got to let Ken wrap this. I got to hear Ken's story.
Okay, Ken. Go ahead.
There's no story. We talked about this.
Jeff Crilly. I know Jeff Crilly. I know his studio. That's beautiful.
I know. We were going to do it on April 1st. I told you that, and you said, "Oh, that's April Fool's Day." And I said, "Yes." And then I looked, and it's on a Tuesday, and I went, "Shit, he's teaching, so we'll do it on April 2nd."
Okay, so is that for the book launching?
Launch, yeah.
Great.
It's a couple of hours at Jeff Crilly's studio, then dinner with everybody, and
that's fun.
Yeah, we'll have fun.
Great.
Yes.
Are you catching all this?
And is Joe Ingram paying for all of it?
No. Joe Ingram, is he on here?
He is. He was having fun with who was the mysterious man in the beard.
Oh, Patricia's coming in from Canada.
Yeah, and your beard looks way better.
Okay.
He's so handsome.
I cut my beard and my hair.
Yeah, you're looking
amazing. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Kind of borderline hot, I would say.
Are you a little aroused? Good for you.
Are you a little aroused?
Hey, Aaron,
anyway,
did I see something about your daughter?
Yeah, so I don't want to dox myself, so I won't. But the school that my daughter goes to, we've talked about it. I don't care. I live in Salina, Texas. So she is they're going to state championships for the cheerleading UIL team. It's Friday, this Friday.
That's so fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tom likes the beer too.
Thank you, Tom.
He might even be experiencing the same type of arousal thing that we were talking about.
Well, that's where are they holding that?
There's no more censorship on Facebook, so we can say anything we want now.
Okay, well, there is the personal sense of censorship.
And this is my channel.
In case someone might want to accidentally incorporate one of their own boundaries.
Oh my God, that's funny. So it's this Friday, and it's somewhere in the DFW area. I don't know yet.
Would you narrow that down just a little more?
I typically find out like 5 minutes before we leave, and I go, "Hey, babe, I would love to put this place in my GPS to get us there. Can you maybe fill me in on where?"
Oh, you're such a good dad.
It's some arena.
All right.
I don't think it's Cowboy Stadium this time.
So is it like a big gathering?
Yeah, there's 854 high schools that will be there competing.
Is it at Dickey's Arena?
I don't think so, but I do believe it's in the Fort Worth area.
Okay, well, you've been to Dickey's Arena, I'm pretty sure.
I have.
Yeah, I knew you'd seen something over there.
Hey, I got to tell you guys something. I really wish I was doing a Grow Live Academy meeting tomorrow, but I'm not.
Why?
Because it's every other Thursday for now.
No, I know that, but why do you wish you were doing one?
Well, because I have something so cool that I'm rolling out to everybody. I have not one single person knows about it except for Charla Frost. Ooh. And when I say it's cool, you'll see, it's unbelievable. Like, it is so unbelievable. And I've been working my ass off on putting this together. Like, literally, I noticed walking by a mirror, I was like, where did my ass go?
Where did my ass go?
Yeah, I noticed that myself. I'm like, damn, I want it back.
So, but this is really, really, really cool what I'm rolling out. It's taking anybody, like what you're doing, Glenn. If let's say that Facebook, Zoom, and Clubhouse or X Spaces all got together and consummated and had a baby, that's what I'm talking about. Except for even on a higher level.
A lot of children.
It is so freaking cool. I'm telling you, man. Everybody is going to go, this is unbelievable. It really is truly amazing. So a friend of mine on X showed me this stuff, and I'm like, wait a minute, I think I could probably, and he's like, yeah, you probably could. And so and I'm like, oh my God, this is going to change my entire community. It'll work for you too. I'll show you. It's amazing. It's freaking, you'll see. It's a way to take people that are close to you already and in your community, like Grow Live Academy, like the Extra Mile. And it's a way to really constantly be interacting with them on a completely different level that you're just not used to experiencing. You'll see. It's freaking unreal.
I'm sure you will escort me through it.
Oh, I'm going to escort you.
Couldn't you do it earlier before the other thing tomorrow?
Tomorrow I have back-to-back appointments all day tomorrow, or I would. And then
that's
Friday.
The modality I've been in all week. I've had major things going on every day for probably the last 10 days. And I'm ready for a day where I'm not doing anything.
I know. We haven't even had like dinner or lunch here in the last, what?
And now you know why.
Why haven't we?
I just explained to you. I've been really, really busy.
Oh.
But
did you lose your cell phone?
Did I lose my cell phone? You reached out to me one time and I responded, dude. Do you remember? You asked, did you see my Buckeyes?
You responded 48 hours later. I've learned to live with that now.
Because I was busy.
Were you sulking?
No, I'm not a Longhorn enthusiast.
Oh.
Ask me if I was upset about the game. Go.
Hey, Glenn, were you upset
No.
about... And hi, I'm Ken.
And I'm Glenn.
And I'm Cindy.
Anyway. Yeah. Hey,
Well, they deserve to win that game. And that play, just seal the deal when he stole the ball and dashed down the sidelines. That was brilliant.
Dude, that was crazy. And it was here in Texas at Cowboy Stadium.
I know,
even worse.
Add insult to injury, they came to Texas to beat the Longhorns. I know. But I'm rooting for them. When is the game?
I believe that is this Friday too.
If it's Friday, I can watch it. If it's Saturday, I got plans.
What are you doing Saturday?
My son, my brother Scott is coming in from Atlanta, and
nice.
We got things going on with family.
I
we also had a death in the family, Ken. I'm not looking to turn this into a downer, but that's another reason you haven't heard from me. My cousin died very, very suddenly, very unexpectedly. And so just had the service. What is today? Wednesday? Yeah, we had the service yesterday.
Yeah.
When is Bob's online?
I don't know what they're, online, I don't know. I thought they were doing an in-person thing down at Newport Beach. Are they not doing that because of the fires in Kelly?
They're doing three items. One's tomorrow. That's the online one.
Oh, can you fill me in like right now? I know there are so many people that do watch your show that know Bob Donnell. So I want to write this down. I did not know about that one.
Yeah, tomorrow
at what time?
Is the online one.
At what time, Cynthia?
It is at, it's 9:30 Eastern Standard Time.
That's really early out west.
PM.
Oh, PM. Okay, that makes more sense.
So give me a second.
8:30. It's 8:30 tomorrow night?
Yes, that is correct.
Wow.
Okay.
And then she has the private memorial on the 18th. And then the 31st is the bonfire by her beach.
Private memorial is on the 18th?
Yes, sir. Oh, I mean, yes,
Saturday, which is Saturday. And where is that? Is that the one in Newport Beach?
I believe it is. You should I can double check with Flo.
I will not be at that one. What about the 31st?
It's a bonfire by her beach, by Flo's beach.
Okay. All right.
So your cousin died?
Yeah, my cousin Lillian. You don't know her. She was on my pop's side of the family.
Where does she live? Sorry to hear that, bro.
Lived here in Dallas.
Oh.
So we went to the funeral. I have to tell you, there's something that Jewish funerals include that is very sobering and very powerful. And that is that each of the mourners are given the opportunity to take a shovel and scoop from the big pile of dirt and actually place it onto the casket when it's in the ground. And usually, most funerals I've been to, when you go graveside, they don't actually lower the casket at the funeral. They're there, they walk away, everybody disassembles, and then they go ahead and bury the deceased privately.
Yeah.
Every so often, if someone was really, really close, if it's your mom or your brother or sister, people have been known to stay, but most don't. They leave it up to somebody else. And within Judaism, they actually, everybody there watches it lowered into the ground. Everybody. And then those who want to do it are given a shovel. And the first scoop, you're instructed to do it upside down, because they want to teach you that there is nothing you can do about what has happened. So they want you to experience the ineffective side of the shovel. Isn't that interesting? And that's really true. The first one is from the underside of the shovel. and it doesn't hold very much because it doesn't have a scoop.
Right.
You're only going to get a little bit, and you put that on, but that next one produces a sound that you will never forget. And the more you are in winter, the louder that sound is because of the hardened condition of the soil. And
Wow.
when you scoop it up and you look and you walk over, what you're dropping it onto is a pine box because they don't do big fancy caskets. Judaism, they bury you in a pine box. I think it is outstanding.
Yeah,
I don't think you need to be buried in a Mercedes Benz. So they bury you in a pine box, and the sound of that dirt hitting the pine box, it creates just a very powerful memory, and you feel like you were part of that process of burial. And then you look
Wow.
forward to someone doing the same for you today. I don't want to open this up into another discussion because I'm sure you're trying to wrap up, Cynthia. But I will tell you, for any of you that watched Jimmy Carter's funeral, which was really something, I used it as a lesson in the workshop this week.
so
But
good.
former President Gerald Ford made a promise to Jimmy Carter. Gerald Ford lost the election in 1976 to Jimmy Carter. And despite the fact that they were competitors, not enemies, but competitors, they went on to become fabulous friends. Fabulous, as in best friends. And they made each other a promise that whoever died first, the other one would do their eulogy. And they both made that promise. And of course, Gerald Ford died 18 years ago.
Yeah.
So Jimmy Carter made good on that promise and gave a magnificent eulogy. What he didn't know was this, that 18 years later, Gerald Ford would still carry out his promise because he wrote prior to his own death the eulogy for Jimmy Carter and gave it to his son, Stephen Ford, who is a friend of mine, someone that I know and have known for years because we used to read for the exact same roles in Hollywood.
Wow.
And we finally did Black Hawk Down together. And so the service starts. Here, the world is watching. And the first speaker up at Jimmy Carter's funeral is Stephen Ford.
Wow.
And he does a 15-minute eulogy that wasn't his eulogy. He warmly greeted the family and then immediately explained that his father had written the eulogy, and I'm here on behalf of my dad. So you talk about class.
Yeah.
That is class.
That is
When you have the
class.
foresight to say, I'm going to carry out my promise from beyond the grave. And Gerald Ford did that for his friend Jimmy Carter.
Well, if I die before you do,
Yes.
I would like you to do the eulogy. I personally want to be buried in a Rolls Royce. I would never settle for a Mercedes.
Well, I'll do this with one caveat.
But you can't. I don't want you throwing dirt on my beautiful Rolls Royce.
I won't do that if you don't want me to
Okay.
do that. But I'm going to say this. I will do a eulogy for you, but you're going to have to seriously adjust your behavior before I say yes.
Are you going to do it in Hebrew, Glenn?
No, Ken doesn't want it in Hebrew. I'll promise you.
Do you know Glenn even
know.
knows Hebrew? He did the service and he did the prayer in Hebrew.
Ken wants no part of a pine box, and he doesn't want it in Yiddish or Hebrew.
I could dig that.
Ken would have a Bentley if we would provide that.
I think that a Bentley would be okay. I'd rather have a Rolls Royce, but a Bentley would work.
Okay, fair enough.
But honestly, if you did, I'm not gonna. I think by the time I'm at that point where you're standing over my casket, like I probably will actually understand Yiddish at that point. So go ahead.
Fair enough.
I will have been promoted.
Joe Ingram, please. Hey, Joe, this is a weird call. Listen, Ken has just put in a peculiar request regarding an afterlife decision that he's just made.
Yes.
No, he wants to be buried in a Rolls Royce. He just hung up on me. Okay. Weird.
No, you know what? I think the most important thing, I remember when Debbie Bettendorf had me on her show, and she said at the end of the show, she said, how do you are there any final words you have to say to everybody, or how do you want to be remembered? And I said, you know what, when I go and I go to the pearly gates, I want to go sliding into home plate and go, woo! That was a trip! And I gave it everything I had. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And Debbie goes, stop it, you're going to make me cry. And I go, I do. I want to live full out. I want to give life everything. And so many people are bitching about things they have no control over. I understand what it's like being aware but like, man, live your freaking life. Quit being never mind. Just live your life.
Didn't you say that we don't have to censor ourselves anymore?
Well, I was going to say,
you're on my channel.
Don't be a little bitch. All right. Live your freaking life. Like, live your life full out.
Grateful.
Be grateful. Absolutely. That's the key to unlocking everything. But you got to live.
Beautiful life.
And our condolences do go out to Paul and Deborah's family today. Just know that you're in our thoughts. And
yeah,
it's a beautiful gig we got going on here, this Earth visit.
Yeah.
But it is a visit. So can we close tonight on just looking at everybody out there and encouraging them to make the very most of your visit?
Make the most of it, folks.
Amen. Do you want to say a prayer?
Leave a splash.
Or put up a quote or?
No, I think that really says it all. It's time to do something with your visit. Make your visit count. Put a splash. I love Ken's word splash. And it's interesting, Ken, in my meeting this week that I had, that word showed up right after I commended you on your using it recently. It was real recently. It was in the interview with Laura Langmeyer. In fact.
Yes.
And that's when you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Not that I was paying attention.
You were.
And I turned right around, and my audition for one of the leads in this thing in Korea contained the word splash. And he says, he just apologizes to somebody. He says, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. It made up a bit of a splash. Right. And I just thought, that's wild.
That's crazy, dude.
It was in the script.
That was just last Friday.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I got to go. I got to go take Mama to dinner. But Cynthia, thank you for having me as a guest. Sorry about the glitch on the Eastern Seaboard time reference, because I was here and ready to go, just did not have the correct information. So, Ken, good seeing you.
Love you, dude.
About the Buckeyes at all. I wish them the best.
That's awesome.
You're playing Notre Dame, right?
Yes.
Are you going to watch the game?
I'm assuming I'm available. Yes. I'm not. You know how I am with that. I'm like.
Yeah, but it's your Buckeyes for the national.
I know. I get stressed out, and I hate doing things that stress me out.
Okay. Well, I guess you're happy about our friendship, or you wouldn't do it.
I love our friendship. It does not stress me out in any way. That's
Sean,
what I love about
our Earth visit, the Boy Scout motto comes to mind: leave things better off than the way they were when you found it, the way they were when you got here. Yep.
Yeah.
Can I say this real fast?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know. It depends on your ability to speak. You ought to say it real fast, just for fun. So I just want to tell you, here's what
I don't have the controls, so I can't remove him from the screen.
Nope, you can't.
Normally I remove Glenn. I go, well, that was Glenn Morshower, folks.
I really would love to hear you say something real fast.
I can't say anything real fast. But anyway, no, I think I told you this before. On YouTube, all these videos of people experiencing near-death experiences, and then they're videoed on this guy that does this show about it. they kept like this one pops up in my stream. I'm like, that's weird. Hope that's not a sign. But well, it is a sign, because eventually I'm gonna go. All of us are. But so I watch it, and then I watch another one. And then like the third one I watch, like they're all in order. And this guy said the most profound thing. He said, and they all said the same thing too, that they're floating in this beautiful light field, and the love that they feel cannot be explained in human terms. It's something that you don't understand it. You can't feel it here. It's on a completely different level, being in the arms of God, the Creator. And so this guy said, and I'm floating through this field, and it's almost like these beautiful colored stars and little orbs and things, and I'm feeling all this love and this joy. And I realized that I was never that thing back there on planet Earth. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he goes on to say, he says, I can't believe still to this very moment that I ever thought this life was real. This is all an illusion. And I'm like, that's freaking crazy. So if you really think about all the shit that you get upset about, that you stress about, that you worry about, that you get all intense about, like 200 years from now, people will remember Glenn, because they'll still be watching 24.
For sure.
But
doubtful 200 years, but okay.
Maybe.
I would question our evolution if people were still watching.
Right.
Down to be like,
Elon will still be alive. But anyway, but 200 years from now, none of the shit that we are concerned about, it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter. Like, you really got to put it into perspective. Hell, for me, 50 years from now, none of it's going to matter.
Ken, it doesn't matter now.
I know that. That's my point.
Yeah, it already doesn't matter.
I know. Thank you for pointing out my point.
You're welcome.
So go be as free as a child who just found out that they got all-day recess on Friday.
Yes.
I mean, on some level, it matters. But in terms of getting worked up over it,
it doesn't matter, though.
You can level things off and not have the extreme highs and the extreme lows, and glide through that joyous middle. I'm just rolling with it, baby. I'm rolling with it. My job is to handle life as life unfolds, not to try to control it, but to process well. And the people I've known that are masters at processing, they allow things and they maneuver as they feel called to maneuver. Yeah. Tom has dropped in some really beautiful insights.
Yes. Look at this one.
The other side is only love. That's true. Every single, and I'm obsessed with watching these near-death experience videos. And on YouTube, I don't know if you do this, but I'll go, okay, that's a little boring section, so I'll fast forward a little bit, skip ahead a little, and but I'm obsessed with it. And what's crazy is all of these people have died. I have a really, really good friend who's been on The Doctors, and she's been on the Megyn Kelly show. She died for 90 minutes, and she's like the exact same thing. This is not real. This is not what we think it is. It's not even close to what we think it is.
Have you noticed that most people die for longer than 90 minutes? Just a random observation. And if you die for less than 90 minutes, does that make you an underachiever?
Right.
Just,
What is wrong with you? Maybe not.
Cynthia, thank you, dear. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.
Love you, bro. Hey, thank you for letting me come in and crash your party. I love you both.
Well, we love you. Thank you. Because you are amazing. I am amazing. We are amazing.
We are. Thank you. I'm gonna jump off and you finish up your show with Glenn. Love you, brother. Love you, Cynthia, sister, and I'll see y'all later.
See you, buddy. Thanks for popping in.
Yeah.
Let us get off the show and let's do a picture before you go.
Okay.
Eric, go ahead and end it, please. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thanks for coming. See you next time.